Welcome back to the show, folks. This is the upper tier. I am Niall, your host. If you could subscribe, hit that subscribe bell notification button, the whole lot. Hit the works, hit the like on the video, hit the whole thing, hit that bell, Macho Man style, whatever way you want to do it. This is your Money in the Bank reaction show. What a pay-per-view last night. Unbelievable. These premium live events coming at you from different locations around the world and all are absolutely knocking it out of the park. The booking last night was different level. The performances were different level. The pops on it, keep on saying it from that UK crowd. It's incredible when they're in harmony there and stuff like that. John Cena coming out, incredible. Drew McIntyre returns. So much good stuff to talk about in this. Really was really good. Strange that the stuff that I thought was going to be unbelievable was slightly a little bit more tame than what we thought it was going to be, but we will get into that and we'll talk about it. Andrew's in the house. How are you, Andrew? Good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a good weekend. But we're here to talk Money in the Bank. I have to say, lads, before we get into the matches and stuff like that, we got to talk about that WWE production just goes from strength to strength. Absolutely no one can touch them. I know the week before we were at Forbidden Door and we got gassed up and, we hear Daniel Bryan coming out to the final countdown and all that kind of stuff. And it's really cool. The ROH throwback and all that kind of stuff and various other things and stuff like that. But when WWE roll into town, I have to say it's just different gravy. It's just different gravy. Their production, their graphics, their build up to the matches, making every match have a big feel about it and all that kind of stuff, getting you emotionally invested in it. The atmosphere in the stadium is second to none. Always when they do UK. Now, who knows what John Cena was talking about? Would you be surprised if they did a Mania there? It'd be an absolutely incredible. But you'd have to be talking one of the big stadiums. You can't be doing it there. Because it wouldn't justify it, to be honest. It wouldn't give it the credit that a WrestleMania deserves, But the crowd last night were absolutely sensational, and they were on point with the chants and stuff like that. I was looking into some of the watch-alongs from the US guys over there and stuff like that, and at times they hadn't even got a clue what the UK fans were chanting and stuff like that, and people had to drop it into the comments and all that kind of stuff. It was pretty cool, Wade Barrett, I said it through last night on our WhatsApp group. Wade Barrett is just different gravy on the commentary, isn't he? He's just unbelievable. He just gets it and he has it down and all that kind of stuff. Really good. So let's get into the show. Let's talk about the show. Some of the points that came up out of it as well. Good points and bad points. Unfortunately, no Sheamus on the show. Just came out with Butch at the start and stuff like that. Would have been nice if Sheamus had been on the show somewhere. Brock Lesnar didn't make an appearance. There was a talk he was going to make an appearance. There was talk about Randy Orton maybe getting involved in the Gunther match. A lot of stuff out there being spoke about, But we did get John Cena and we did get Drew McIntyre. So we'll take it from there. So let's start the men's Money in the Bank match. Let me know how you felt about this, folks. This was I thought this was really good. I thought there was some crazy stuff in it. I thought it started out kind of tame enough. Just a kind of a brawl, people all over the place. Kind of weird. People kind of, if you think about the psychology of the match and stuff like that, to head up the ladder and get the briefcase. And we didn't really get into that. Like, it was calling for that for a while, and people were getting into the ring while everyone was down, and they were taking the ladders down and going back at it again instead of trying to go up and get the case and stuff like that, which was kind of a weird dynamic in it at first. But then it evolved into that, and it all went crazy. Some of those spots out there were unbelievable. Ricochet with that move off the top rope where he had to steady himself with Logan Paul and stuff like that. And good Lord, Logan Paul going through that table. Head, shoulder, neck, the whole thing. Talking about a guy who's earning his stripes at the moment, But the crowd were totally against him. We have to talk about the entrances. The lads were all decked out in quality ring gear, including our friend there on the screen, Damian Priest, who came out looking absolutely awesome. Dare I say, Taker-esque in some of the stuff he was wearing and stuff like that, but looked really cool. LA Knight came out, got a massive pop, and I'm sure everyone was thinking, right, this is the guy. This is how they built it up. This is the guy who's going to take it. We did talk on the pre-show, myself and Jamie Phillips, we spoke about. Wouldn't be surprising if I thought Priest won it and stuff like that, and where it would lead to and stuff. And we'll talk about that later in the show when we get to the Balor and Rollins match and stuff like that. But this was a serious match. It was hard hitting. Logan Paul going for that crossbody on the ladders, and it was interesting. The guys in the US turning around going, what do they make those ladders out of in the UK? Because there was no give in them, literally. They were solid. Logan Paul with the crossbody bounces back off it and stuff like that. And, and the English crowd are just absolutely brilliant. The UK crowd, they were just there going, you still suck. So they weren't giving him any flowers no matter what he did, which was kind of really cool on a different dynamic. And in terms of a heel, it just goes to show you how much he's over as a heel. The real ones in there at the moment, himself. Dominic obviously is huge over as a heel at the moment, and of course Roman Reigns. But it was a really, really cool match, and Ricochet trying to save that spot, that could have been an absolute disaster. And to readjust himself the way that went on the ladder with the rope and all that kind of stuff. Props to Ricochet and stuff like that, and doing that. It was quality stuff to get it there, that Spanish fly, Logan Paul afterwards, you can see the marks on me opened up on the shoulder and the trap area and all, and unbelievable. That pop for LA Knight when he came out absolutely blew the roof off the building. Certainly very much over, and we heard Triple H afterwards in the press conference and going, people asking him about LA Knight not getting the briefcase, and he goes, he's on a journey. His time will come. Don't worry about it. His time is coming. But hats off to Damian Priest taking the briefcase, becoming senior Money in the Bank. So congratulations to Damian Priest. We'll see how that's all going to unfold with the Judgment Day coming up this week. We'll talk about it obviously later in the Balor Rollins match. Second match of the night up was the tag match. Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. This was kind of an interesting one insofar as I didn't expect a whole lot in this, because I think a lot of the talk around this stuff at the moment is the credibility of those titles and stuff like that. So I wasn't expecting a title change at all. And I wasn't expecting this swerve either. So it was interesting to see how it all played out and stuff like that. I still think these two as a tag team was kind of, where they have a bit of a background and stuff like that and a bit of a history, is still kind of, I'm not sure if the sum of the parts matches them if they're single, if you like. Liv Morgan, of course, came out with Raquel Rodriguez. They both girls looked absolutely sensational, lats for days. And Liv Morgan, of course, coming out and Wade Barrett on commentary talking about the, Jerry Halliwell, Ginger Spice kind of thing and all that kind of, was pretty cool, But the match was a hard hitting match. Obviously, they were working on Liv's shoulder. And her arm and stuff like that, and it was a real kind of old school feel match from that point of view. But it just evolved, and all of a sudden, just as they were about to press the button on it, all of a sudden Shayna just turns on Ronda, absolutely choking her out, which obviously led to the pinfall and the two girls becoming tag champs again. Ronda looking a bit sort of amazed at what had happened, Shayna just walking off. So we'll have to see where this goes now. Interesting, but I wasn't too sure on it and stuff like that. And it was a kind of a match that could have brought the crowd back down again, but it actually lifted the crowd again. After the Money in the Bank match, obviously absolutely tore the place up and got the crowd going. But obviously Shayna turning on Ronda and the girls getting the belts obviously pumped the crowd up again. So pretty cool from that point of view. Next up we had Gunther versus Riddle. Now I had kind of said, we had differing views on this, myself and Jamie, on the preview. I had kind of said that I thought this was just tailor-made for Gunther. It was going to be a kind of a beatdown. Jamie actually called it correct. He said that Matt Riddle would get plenty in this match and stuff like that. It just seemed kind of like an awkward kind of match. I liked it, and when I think did he only hit one chop, I think, on Riddle's chest, and Riddle's chest nearly collapsed. Obviously working the foot from the injury. the ankle and stuff like that. So obviously a little bit of old school in there as well. Gunther picking up the win. I wasn't sure what I felt about the kind of chops on the foot and stuff like that. It was kind of a weird one, really, but it was too hard hitting. Riddle got plenty into the match as well, and did really, really well, especially in the opening section of the match. But another one I really enjoyed it. He's just awesome, his entrance was awesome. Riddle came out, it was kind of weird, the plaits in the hair and all that kind of stuff. It was just a little bit strange. But then, of course, the first comeback rolls out, and there it is. Drew McIntyre comes out looking absolutely like a monster. Comes into the ring, has a face-to-face with Gunther. Gunther shoves him off, and he comes back, and he hits Gunther with a Glasgow kiss, basically, and stands in the middle of the ring to get the props from the crowd. He looked well pumped up for it and stuff like that. Looked fairly refreshed and looked like he was ready to go. So that kind of shuts down everyone's thoughts that he might be at AEW in Wembley or moving over to AEW. I didn't think that was the case, or whether I didn't think it was going to be the case. So good to have Drew McIntyre back, and let's see how he slots in. Is he the man who's going to take the belt from Gunther? You would probably think now that's probably the case, and that's how they're going to build it. But it was cool. He got a great prop, Drew. He got a great pop, I should say, Drew McIntyre. Really, really cool to see it. Next up, we had Cody Rhodes versus Dominic with Rhea Ripley. So Dominic came out first with Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley looking sensational. Hair on point, gear on point, makeup, the whole lot. Looked the business. Dominic also looks the business as well. I have to say, Dominic is just morphing into Eddie Guerrero, isn't he? I mean, if you think about it now, if Eddie was still around, you would plausibly turn around and call Dominic Mysterio Eddie Guerrero's son. He has the mullet on point. He looks real greasy. The way he's working in the ring, he's obviously studied Eddie a hell of a lot. He's working the matches very like Eddie Guerrero and stuff like that. Really, that's kind of sneaky kind of way and stuff like that. Obviously, Cody came out, got a sensational pop, as he always does. Looked the business, loved the ring jacket with a bit of British in there and stuff like that as well. Looked really, really cool. The match was decent. A lot of distractions from Rhea and stuff like that. Cody picking up the win. But Dominic with sort of shenanigans and stuff like that during the match looked really well, and it kind of showed the layers of Dominic Mysterio as well in terms of his building of psychology and stuff like that. He's able to kind of do the kind of sneaky stuff like Eddie, but he's also able to go when he has to go in the ring as well, and it looks like his development is continuing, and it's brilliant. Rhea in there using the distraction and stuff like that. Obviously looked very disappointed when Cody picked up the win. So there's a lot of different moving parts in the Judgment Day at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see how that develops. But Cody picking up the win, kind of a clean kind of win. Not too sure. I was hoping Dom might pick up the win, but it was kind of Cody obviously taking off the cast and stuff like that, set the scene and stuff. But then it was kind of the delay and all that kind of stuff. I think the crowd was waiting for a Lesnar moment or something to happen that didn't happen. And that kind of deadened it down a little bit. But they really bought into Mysterio's potential of winning the match and stuff like that, which was really, really cool, because this was one of those matches out there that it was kind of like they weren't sure what way this one was going to go and stuff like that. But not too disappointed in it. It was solid enough. Just not sure where it goes from here and stuff like that. Reasonable build up and stuff like that too. Lots of talk about, your dad and all this kind of thing and all. So obviously when you get a little bit sort of personal and family comes into it and stuff like that, it sells a decent narrative. But I think the crowd were definitely expecting something to happen at the end of this match that just didn't happen. So next up, they rolled out. The crowd absolutely blew the roof off the building. This man comes out, never disappoints. This man just has crowds in the palm of his hand every single time. Came out, spoke about it. Crowd absolutely lifted off their feet. unbelievable. He just, no matter where he goes, he can just, I've seen this guy live so many times, John Cena, and how he works a crowd, even when the camera isn't on him. Absolutely brilliant. I seen him in Philly at the Rumble and stuff like that. He was absolutely sensational the way he worked that crowd the Monday night after it and stuff. And they gave him dogs abuse, and he was well able to turn them around. So he was talking about how huge an event it was, and it was brilliant to be back in the UK, and he gave props to the UK audience and bigging them up, and the chants back and stuff like that worked really, really well. There was a cadence and a rhythm to it and stuff like that, as only John Cena can. And then out pops Grayson Waller, the Grayson Waller effect comes down, and Cena had set the narrative already about WrestleMania potentially coming to London or the UK. The crowd went absolutely ballistic for it, to the point where I think they nearly thought there was going to be an announcement for 41 or 42 or something like that. And I had those feels myself at the time and stuff like that. But Grayson Waller comes out, and he was pretty cool. He was giving Cena his props and stuff like that. Then he turned on him and he says, well, why don't we bring WrestleMania to Australia? And all this kind of thing and stuff. And then they went back and forth. They had a little bit of a run in and stuff like that. And obviously with Cena filming, I'd imagine at the moment he has to be fairly careful on what he does from an insurance point of view and all that kind of thing. But it was really, really cool to see it. Really, really cool to see him go out there and still have that huge pop and that huge connection with the audience. And it just brought the audience right back up after a couple of interesting matches and stuff like that. So it was really cool how they brought the audience back. And that was the theme running through this show, how they place things and book things in this show to bring that wave of emotion where the crowd went a little bit down, brought them right back up, a little bit down, brought them right back up. It was really, really cool to see. So, but hats off to Cena and stuff like that. So next up then, we got the women's Money in the Bank. Not too sure if you want to Andrew's in. Yeah, it was a great show. It absolutely was a great show. I'm sure, Andrew, you wanted Orton to show up and stuff like that. There was talk about it in the Riddle match, but no, Joey didn't show up. Io Sky winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. God, the girls absolutely knocked it out of the park. They all looked $1 million coming out. There was a nice little narrative set beforehand, little sort of pockets of groups and then wrestlers on their own and stuff like that. Trish looked a little bit awkward in this match. She hadn't experienced it much before and stuff like that. She was trying to do a few moves off the ladder, a couple of hurricanes and stuff that just looked a little bit awkward. She got a nasty little smack in the face as well. You could see her nose and stuff like that was busted up and stuff like that. But she's an absolute stellar star and stuff like that. But all the girls absolutely knocked out of the park. Some of the moves they did that Zoe Stark onto that backdrop onto the ladder and stuff like that was absolutely amazing. And again, I have to say, and some of our American counterparts over there are probably right, those ladders never gave an inch last night in this pay-per-view, and they got beat up pretty bad and stuff like that. But it was an interesting one here, the way, it came down to sort of Becky and Bailey, and they were on the ladder and stuff like that, and then Io comes out of nowhere, handcuffs the two girls, and then she climbs up above Bailey and obviously takes down the briefcase and stuff like that. So there was a real cool image. The two girls were trapped in the ladder, handcuffed together, and Io Sky was up on top, absolutely doing the business. And hats off, Selena Vega had some great moves in it. They did some great work in it. A lot of the girls did some great work in it, so it was an all-around great match. Arguably probably better than the men's match. But it was really cool. And I think most people knew Io Sky was going to go over in this one. So it was really, really cool. Really, really enjoyed it. Some brilliant moments, and some huge spots in it and stuff like that. Let's get into the World Heavyweight match. Now, I've kind of conflicting views on this. I was so excited for this match with the build-up, with the Balor promo, all that kind of stuff. And not excited to the point where I thought Rollins might lose the belt, but excited to the point that I thought we were going to get a match that would elevate up. 7 years in the making since he had gotten injured and stuff like that. And I think what we kind of got, obviously we noticed Rollins coming out. His ring gear wasn't quite the outlandish kind of way that it normally is. But they came out, Rollins obviously absorbing that UK crowd, went on and on and on. I don't know how Balor didn't kick him off the ropes at the start and stuff. That was going on and on and on. And you could see Balor just getting frustrated. So then we get into the match, and the match is kind of a back and forth. You've Balor working the ribs and all that kind of stuff. You've Rollins doing his thing, and then it kind of it just became a kind of an unflattering, typical Balor Rollins match. A lot of moves from Balor and all that kind of thing, but it just became a little bit kind of it didn't hit the note I thought it would hit. I didn't expect Rollins to lose, but I just expected a bit more in the match with the build-up. We know that Balor the night before had attacked Rollins. He was obviously rocking the tape on the ribs. We know the build-up was being cool between both guys jumping each other. Obviously, the Balor promo, the 7-year build-up, the history between the two guys. I just think it lent itself for a much, I don't know, bigger spectacle of a match with just a bit more in it and stuff like that. And then obviously Damian Priest came down with the briefcase. Balor was about to do the business on Rollins. Damian Priest stood up out of the chair with the briefcase. Balor got distracted. Rollins was able to go in and hit the curb stomp and got the win. And what you see in front of you here is after the match, Balor asking Priest, what was he doing? What was he doing? Or, is it all about the case, or is it all about me and the Judgment Day and back and forth and stuff like that? So again, there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment in the Judgment Day. These two boys kind of semi-questioning stuff at the moment. Obviously, you've got Rhea being disappointed at Dom picking up the loss at Cody Rhodes. Rhea's obviously knocking it out of the park. I think she's 90 days champion now or something like that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Judgment Day. I think if the Judgment Day split up, depending on what way they do it, I am going to be really, really disappointed. I'm loving Dominic and Rhea, what they're doing at the moment. These two boys, they're there, but it doesn't feel like it's part of a team and stuff like that. So let's see what way it goes. But yeah, it was one of the matches I wouldn't say I was disappointed in. I think it's just I thought it would deliver more. And I think coming down to Damian Priest stepping out of the chair with the briefcase, causing the distraction on Balor, ultimately leading to the curb stomp, I think it could have given us a bit more. That's all. So then we get into the main event. This was Civil War. Just look at that picture. The double pin that he went for and stuff like that. But this was absolutely sensational. We got the Usos coming out. Got that kind of big feel again. They love the Usos and stuff like that. The crowd reactions for this was unbelievable. The boys coming down down since day one-ish again, like the Uso penitentiary thing. All that kind of stuff. It was really cool. The boys were hyped up for it. Obviously Roman came out with Solo and the wise man Paul Heyman. They did their thing, came down to the ring. There was a stare off between the four boys. And off we went. It was, there you go, absolutely brutal going at it, hard hitting. Slow enough pace as well. It was very, very paced out. It was very methodical. I thought they could have crammed it into probably 10 minutes less. But they were sort of sound the psychology of this and how monumental it was. Again, infighting in the family, that kind of thing where they pull on your heartstrings and stuff like that. The Usos were absolutely sensational. This Solo was absolutely brilliant. But Roman was kind of a little bit bewildered by the whole thing, and it took, the way the match evolved that time when that didn't happen, and he was sort of like sitting back thinking, what have I got to do kind of thing. And Solo was trying to get him back into the match. Come on, let's go, this kind of thing. And Roman was struggling to kind of figure out, convince himself, was he capable of beating the boys and stuff like that, which is the first time we've seen kind of Roman Reigns question his own being, if you like, as the tribal chief and as the main guy and stuff like that. And it was Solo who had to snap him out of it and bring him back into it and stuff like that. Ultimately, it ended up with the Usos absolutely tearing Roman up and Jay getting the win. He pinned him. That's the first time Roman's been pinned, I think, in nearly 1,300 days, they were saying. So this was kind of monumental. I did like the little bit that we seen where Roman told Jay that he loved him, just on the side kind of thing when he was pinned. It was pretty cool. It was a real amazing moment and stuff like that to get that pin. Because if you think about the people who have gone before them trying to pin this guy and they couldn't get it done. Drew was there, Lesnar was there, Sheamus was there. They were all there. Anyone who's anyone in that company have all tried this. But Jey Uso did it, of course, with Jimmy. And it was amazing to see Roman there, sitting there again. And the two boys are in the ring celebrating. it was a monumental shift. It was a moment in time, and we're going to see where it leads to now, heading into SummerSlam and stuff like that. But it really was a cool moment. It was a great event on so many levels. If anything, looking at it, I thought like the Balor and Seth match was the one that kind of disappointed me slightly because I had so much more for it. I thought it was going to deliver so much more. So from that point of view, I was a little bit down, if you like, but the rest of it just knocked it out of the park. Between the swerves that we had, between the spots within the Money in the Bank matches, the men and the girls knocking it out of the park. This whole civil war and the way it was built up, the infighting and the family and all that kind of thing, and was really, really cool. Heyman was brilliant as well. The usual, the facials and the emotion and all that thing. Roman really selling the character now, questioning himself and his being and his level and all that. The first time we've seen it in God over 3 years nearly at this stage, it was really, really cool. The Usos coming in absolutely pumped up to do a number was really, really, really cool. And it was just a great event. It was another premium live event where WWE knocked it out of the park. I think the booking was brilliant. I think the match positioning was really, really good. I think the way they brought the crowd on a wave. I know the crowd dampened down a little bit in the Balor Rollins match, but I was talking to Darren about it last night on WhatsApp, and he was saying, we've been there when you're 3 hours or 2.5 hours into these events and you've given it everything. And remember, these were all nearly billed as main events. Obviously, the 2 Money in the Bank matches, but all the other matches, as I said, were built up to be really big, really huge things and stuff like that. So the crowd was trying to push it for all these. So you can forgive them for not really being able to, dare I say, just keep it going and keep it going and keep it going. And I think kind of, where they were invested into the world heavyweight match, I think they were kind of more concerned, or maybe waiting potentially for a cash in or something like that. And when it pittered out the way it did, there was a kind of a drop in the energy and stuff like that. But obviously when this came out, Civil War, boom, everyone off their feet, away we go, was absolutely sensational. Probably the most enjoyable Money in the Bank I've probably watched. But it was cool to see the dynamic from the guys in the US on the watch alongs and stuff like that. They couldn't really understand the chants because the way the UK do the chants and the way it's interesting as well because sometimes they cheer the bad guys and they boo the good guys and stuff like that, and that's like foreign sometimes to the US guys doing the watch alongs. But the dynamic of like the ladders just not folding or breaking like they're made of cardboard like in the UK and stuff like that and all, and just some sensational stuff that happened on it. So what we're left to say is absolutely congratulations to Damian Priest and Io Sky on winning the Money in the Bank matches. We'll see how this all progresses. Interesting to see what Io Sky and Bailey do now. That dynamic's going to be pretty cool. Damian Priest in the Judgment Day, maybe looking over their shoulder now, questions about this man's loyalty. What way is it going to go? Is he going to step out of the Judgment Day? Is JD McDonough going to step in? Let's see what happens, but absolutely sensational. But lots of questions coming out of Money in the Bank to be answered on this week's Raw and SmackDown. So we'll leave you with that, folks. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, of course. Let us know what you thought about the matches, what way you think it goes. Where do they go now with Baszler? Rousey obviously looks like she's going to turn babyface. What way is that going to work? But yeah, really cool event. As always, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and of course, drop a like on the video. Don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow night, folks. We're going to be doing a review of Dark Side of the Ring, Junkyard Dog. Another interesting episode, but again, another tough episode to get through. I was a big fan of JYD back in the day. So, of course, let us know your thoughts on Money in the Bank, and we'll be back tomorrow night with a review of Dark Side of the Ring. Until next time, folks, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again real soon.